What you're getting ready to watch is part 2 of a 1 hour long conversation that I have with my friend and mentor, Pastor Demetrius Colbert, regarding relationships and loneliness. If you missed part 1, be sure to go back and watch that introduction clip before catching up on this, so you have complete context on what we're discussing. Check it out. So I'm kind of looking through these comments, and some of them are actually really revealing. So someone posted, it got 16,000 likes on this comment. So many other people feel the same way. It's exhausting to feel invisible, to be honest.
Wow.
Right. I mean, this stuff is just really hitting home. Someone speaking about being someone else's first choice, and being a priority. Someone saying, I just want to be chosen. Just once. Obviously, there's a plethora of them. I mean, there's 15,000 of them. I'm not gonna go through all of them. But just speaking from my experience, man, there's been many times where, for me, it was from a space of attention, desiring the attention, trying to dive into that space of, man, actually being called the nicknames and given all of that kind of attention at one point, to the point where that was really all that I was looking for. And so for me, being in this similar space of mindset at one point, I kind of started thinking like, okay, well, this is something that I could attain and I could grab. And so once I got that though, and this is kind of where I'm kind of coming towards with her video. Again, we're not insinuating or assuming she's a bad person. She's been through the work, none of that. We're just taking what she shares in this video. I think the approach, man, is, okay, I'm going to seek somebody who's going to give me all of this, the good morning text, the good night text, the calls, wondering and caring about my day. And what's interesting is that kind of starts to happen in what we label as the talking stage, right? When we're talking about a pursuing relationship and trying to date, all of that is given in the talking stage, roughly, for on average every relationship. So what I would be afraid of is someone carrying that thought process and leaving it in the talking stage. You no longer pursue a full relationship with this person. And it's possible that you were never interested in actually having a full-on relationship with this person, getting to know them, their interests, their dreams, their goals, what they wanted to do. But since they're giving you that attention early on, you're like, I'm good. I don't want to take this further. And so that is where it can start to fall off and kind of come off as anxieties. There might be certain areas of your life that you're not necessarily addressing. And so this is the surface of it, where you're starting to look for that in different areas, different people. And because you've got the good morning text and that's all you were really looking for, what you're simply doing is wasting that person's time, because they could possibly be looking for a full relationship, but you're just like, I just want the good morning, the good night. I just want the attention. I literally did that, went in and out. I bounced when stuff started getting serious, because at that point, I've already kind of gotten what I was looking for. And so there's not really a need for me to go into a full relationship, because I'm not really wanting that. I just wanted the boos, the bays, the attentions, the good mornings, the good nights, because that's where I was.
And so what's interesting for me at the age that I am, to look back down, to turn around and look back at you guys, or to even stand side by side with you in many instances and hear the conversations like this and to hear these things, it's very interesting to me, because I'm certain that there were people who bypassed these processes and who felt like that. But typically when I was coming up, it was a whole process. Like, you went through a whole process. You dated, you went, when you're younger, it kind of has a tendency to get real serious real fast. Like, this is my girl, this is my guy, whatever. But you said something too that I was curious to know about, man. You said, and she says it too, that y'all looking for the bays and the boos. What does that do for you? What does that mean? What does that what does that ultimately do for your life?
That's an interesting question. So in my state, and in full transparency where I was, man, I hadn't really been engaged in a full dating relationship with a girl before, right? Plenty of stages, plenty of talking stages, plenty of venturing and all that, but never really committing to something. But I always wanted that feeling of what it would be like to be in a committed relationship. And so to me at the time, I thought that was wrapped up in the hey boo, hey bae, getting all those names and nicknames. Now, when I look back on that, what does that do for your life? But now in the state that I'm in, that doesn't bring value. That doesn't really sustain anything, because there was no purpose behind it. It was just being called that. It was just a name. It was just something that I wanted at the time. And I think for many other young people, we could talk about labelings, or we can talk about desire to be labeled somebody's. Maybe there's some connotation that comes behind those names where they think, oh yeah, so I'm this person's first choice. Getting called bae and boo, to a lot of people, it's not necessarily just a name you throw out. You know, I know you may hear females talk to each other, hey boo, hey this, hey that, as referring to friendships and relationships, things like that. But in terms of a guy to a girl and that relationship, dating relationship going on, it seems as if it's a labeling that isn't taken lightly. And it's like, oh no, okay, this is real, this is getting serious, and I like where this is going. But in those moments, it's what you're striving for, because you see everybody else have it. You know, you see everybody else in relationships, you get in that space where you're like, man, I just really want one too. But it's not necessarily because of you wanting to know that person and the purposes behind it. But it's like, man, because everybody else has got it and it looks good on social media, so I want that too.
So the language then that we would have used 30 years ago, 31 years ago for me, the language that I would have used to say that it's me and you is when you start babe and booze. So that becomes the language then. That's the hey, I know. So as soon as I call you bae or boo, it's me and you.
Yeah, so it's starting to insinuate that it's becoming me and you. Absolutely. Seclusion, all of that kind of thing. I feel separated, right? Because you're not going to call a friend boo and bae, right? You're not going to do that. That isn't something that you would normally share in a conversation. Right. Now, there's some people that may do that, but in the average standing, no. And I think that's kind of where we start assuming, right? Oh, okay, I'm good. I'm in there, right? This is getting real, and we start kind of assuming where this could go, where this could be. And that's normally the language for that. Absolutely.
Okay, so that makes sense to me. So what I'm curious about, is how the language has changed and how that means something. So, because, when I was coming out, we was just going out. Now it then turned into bae and boo. What I'm further curious about, though, is she put this, like I said, she put this out there. It's for everybody to see. And it got crazy amount of views. So
yeah, it's actually at 230,000 likes. She has 1.2 million views.
1.2 million. So 1.2 million people saw this. A whole bunch of people commented on it. Over 200,000. 250,000 people liked it, basically.
Right.
That tells you that that is a ongoing, acceptable thing out there. But now here's my question. Not that you can answer it for everybody, but I think what I'm going to ask, other people want to know too. So why is everybody so lonely?
That's a good question. I don't know if I could pin it to one thing. I think there's a plethora, man. Obviously, I think today when we think of how explosive social media is, just being able to reach everyone at such a high capacity and speed, you see all the cute TikToks, you see all the cute Instagram photos, you see everything that you're kind of desiring, and you're wondering, dang, like, why don't nobody want that with me? I won't say that that's specifically to this video or anyone specifically, but I would say it almost gets you into that space, because you start to think, oh, well, what's wrong with me? Nothing can be wrong with me. I mean, look at me, look at this, look at that. And you see people who you start to think aren't as cute as you, aren't as bright as you, aren't as dope as you. And you're like, well, they're in a relationship, so I gotta be in a relationship. So you kind of start moving in that space a little bit. To pinpoint one reason, you think of, again, the comparisons. That's a thief of joy. You start looking at maybe backgrounds. I think your home life has a lot to do with it too. In terms of where you come from, what's your background, with parents in your life, because you start to look for that kind of love through other people and you don't get it. And so you start feeling rejected. I think it could be a plethora of things right there.
So most of these kids are younger adults like yourself.
Right.
Because my oldest daughter is 32 actually. So, and then my second is 31, 28, and then 21. So I'm going to say that most of you were parented by somebody my age. I can see where that parent piece can come in, but could it be that the biggest influence and impact on people through this whole thing, though, is social media? And this ideal that you see people living social media lives, and you're like, well, this person is booed up, so how come I'm not booed up? As you made mention of, could it be more social media than it could be parents? Because, man, I'll be honest with you. If you just scroll through all of them, from here, YouTube to Twitter to TikTok to Instagram, There's other stuff out there too, right? That people have, and you see it. People are showing you like, I'm living my best life.
Right.
I'm living my best life. See where I am. See what I got on. See who I'm with. See how I'm happy. See, and truthfully, it's almost like we're ignoring the other people that we see that kill themselves on a day in and day out basis. TikTok star kills themselves. TikTok star dies. YouTuber dies from suicide. I mean, so how are we missing those messages, but viewing all of this stuff and seeing it for like as if it is like this is the pinnacle. This is what I need to reach. Like those relationships, most of those relationships, are those relationships even real? You guys know, like I know, movie stars even get together. Famous people get together just to push their clout. They hang, and then famous people get into beefs with each other to push their clout, to get more noticed. I'm wondering if it isn't really more of the social media life that's not really a life that people are really pushing themselves towards.
Yeah, I would actually agree with that, because I think just kind of scrolling through more of these kind of comments, people are finding this so relatable. But this one comment kind of stuck out the best. She says, "I always act like I don't care, but I just want to know what it really feels like to have someone really care." And so my question for this, right, and because she's not pointing this towards somebody to just care. This isn't a formality of a relationship. A dating relationship. And so to me, I do put a lot of that blame on social media. You see it, you see your favorite rappers, your favorite artists, they're all getting in relationships. Your closest friends, they're all on Snapchat talking about how dope their relationship is, 1 year anniversary, 6-month anniversary. You see all of this stuff. And so you start to play that comparison game. That's kind of where I first started. You start playing that comparison game. I really think that a lot of these young people, man, they're trying to describe their feelings as if someone really cares. And I think they're describing what somebody cares looks like. And they're like, okay, that means somebody to cuddle with, somebody to have sex with, somebody to do all of these other things with. And I think this really comes down to a few things. Because I think a lot of people who may feel like this may ascribe all the actions she says she doesn't have as if saying she is in love. I think that may be a huge miscommunication. Because me sending you a text message every morning and every night is not defining my love for you. Like that's not something that I would say and ascribe, hey, I love you, and so I do this. I think those actions can be a part of somebody showing love to you, but that is not the defining actions and moments of love. If I really love you and I'm really purposing to build a relationship with you, whether I send a good morning text or a good night text doesn't determine that. So then it comes to question, well, what does determine it? And so I think this is where we're starting to see a lot of young people my age and a little older are starting to define it, based on, can I get some cuddles? Can I get some sex? Can I get some attention? Can I get this? Can I get that? If I can get that, then that person loves me. But again, it's just miscommunicated. So then the question becomes, what is love? Right? That's what I think a lot of this is and surrounded by. Because for somebody to say, I don't really, I don't know what it feels like. I just want to know what it feels like to really have someone to really care. I have so many questions about that,
So do I.
I have so many questions. Like, what's your background look like? You know what I'm saying? Like, what does your home background look like? What do you feel you're without? Because if this is surrounding a FOMO, a fear of missing out, I think we have to take a step back and look at these things from a standpoint of truth and reality. Because truth is, there are people who are doing this and their Instagram pictures look fire. TikTok videos celebrating anniversaries look fire. But when they put that camera down, it is miserable. Tears and frustration. So what's behind all of this? That would be a lot of questions for me before I even get to trying to share a lot of that to them.
If you enjoyed this, be sure to go back and watch the previous parts of this conversation as we continue to open up about relationships and loneliness. Be sure to click the links down in the description for Demetrius Colbert's content and where you can find and reach him. And be sure to give a follow to the socials, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all of that good stuff down in the description below, where you can catch me and the content that I put out around social media. And as always, until our next conversation, be easy and be breezy, my friend. Peace.